I have forgotten to tell you what it was like when we first got to Holland. It was a completely foreign experience. It was really different. And I was a babe in the woods. I was unsure of myself. Glad that, we had companions and mission presidents and people to keep track of us, because, man, I had no idea what to do, where to go. Well, I was the biggest baby, not baby, but I don't know, neophyte.
Greenie.
Greenie. I didn't understand a thing. I was told that I might want to bring over silver dollars to give out as gifts to children. And the guy wanted to grab my bags at the airport. I didn't know that I was supposed to pay this guy. And then, he was sitting there wanting to get paid after he grabbed my bags. Well, I didn't need him. I could grab my own bags, I'm young and healthy. Well, then I paid him what I thought would be fair in US dollars. I'm counting out these silver dollars that I had. It's the only thing I had. And, I went to like $10 or something, which was in silver dollars was way much. I mean, it was like 3 guilders per dollar at that time. So it's like giving the guy $30, okay, for hauling my bags a couple hundred feet, and it was just outrageous. And the guy took it, he was. This guy's dumb, but he took it. So anyway, we made our way to the mission home. They picked us up in a VW van, took us to the mission home, which was an Armstraatse which meant that it was in Amersfoort towards Armstraatse Weg. It's on the way to Amersfoort. That's what that would translate to. Anyway, it was in a country home, beautiful home, pretty large, and of course it's been converted into a mission home, which meant it had a bunch of bedrooms in some of the upstairs area that were way different. And anyway, we had our interviews with the mission president, but the mission president wasn't in town the day we got there, because he had gone to Belgium because the roof of the church in Belgium, in the French part of Belgium, had burned off, had a fire, and he'd gone down there to inspect that building and to determine what they needed to do to get that building repaired and back underway. And so he was a couple of days down there straightening everything out, making sure the contractors were hired and that they took care of everything. And anyway, before he got back, then we had the mission president's wife we met, of course, and then they had a cook that they had hired, a cook and housemaid that kind of kept track of her children, because she had young children. This is a young mission president. He was probably in his 40s. His children, I think the youngest was probably in the neighborhood of 6 or 7 years old. And anyway, Sister Pinniger had depression. I didn't know that at the time that's what was going on. Now I know, but I could tell something was a bit at odds, but I couldn't figure out quite what it was. But I thought, man, it must be difficult to have this problem. I could tell she's having a problem. And to be here in this foreign country and to have to take care of these children and have the children in school, and the children have trouble with the language, and because they were going to Dutch schools in some cases. And I think one of them was going to an English school. But, the children would be whining about the fact they had to go to Dutch school. It was, she had all these problems. Just being a mother in Holland, and then dealing with depression. I mean, it must have been really hard on her. But anyway, but she was a wonderful person. And anyway, the missionaries had a standard joke that they would play on the missionaries as they would first get there. And a favorite food there is fla, which is kind of a pudding, kind of custard thing. Not too much different than the little cups that we eat, that is the vanilla flavored stuff. That's pretty close, but that's a little thicker than fla is. But they would serve it in these big bowls. Well, they also liked, Dutch people loved yogurt, but they loved their yogurt raw, meaning no sugar, No, yeah, plain. No, no sugar, no fruit, just white yogurt, which should have a bitter taste. Well, what they'd love to do is put food coloring, yellow food coloring, in the yogurt and give it to the brand new missionaries. And I got the flaw. They didn't know it, but I got the flaw because they all look the same. They got mixed up. And all the older elders that were there, this is the assistants to the mission presidents, okay? You know, they got permission to play the joke, okay, from the mission president. But anyway, the new missionaries, yeah, this is great. It was, but it was really bitter, you know.
Not bitter, sour.
Except for you were going.
Yeah, I was fine. I was.
Wait,
what's the
I
problem?
don't get it.
Yeah, that was great stuff.
I don't get it. You had something different?
Yeah, I got flaw,
He got the pudding, custard,
which
and
is like what
everybody
you
else
eat.
got the yogurt.
Oh.
Not everybody else, but the other new guys got it.
Yeah, some of the other new guys. I don't know if all of us got what, but I ended up with the flaw. I would have no problem. Well, after I've been in Holland for quite a while, I got used to the straight stuff and actually got to like it that way. It took a while. You kind of had to force yourself to eat it a little bit, but after you did, after a while, it was pretty good that way.
Straight stuff being like
just
yogurt?
straight.
Plain yogurt.
Just plain yogurt.
Okay.
But I love flaw, as your mom will tell you. And it was great
Have you
stuff.
ever made it?
I've never made it like he likes it.
Well, anyway, that was kind of fun. But anyway, the mission president finally got back. I should say first, we went street boarding and tracting and went out on missionary discussions with the older missionaries that were assigned to the mission home, the assistants to the president and whatnot. In the evenings, they would go out and do the same things that all the other missionaries would do. And so I went on discussions those first few nights. I wasn't very much use. I hardly knew the language, you know. Our trainers had lied, you know. But anyway, we also went on a street boarding expedition to Utrecht. And Utrecht is a very large nearby city. And we would have a street board, and we would just talk to whoever walked by. It's like being in the mall. Whoever walked by, Dames and Heren, we're here to talk to you about the Book of Mormon, you know, tell you about the Book of Mormon. You know, 2,000 years ago. You know, you know, here we go. So it was a lot of fun, and we learned a lot. But when I would talk to a Dutchman, they would try to talk English back to me, and I refused to talk English because I wanted to learn Dutch so bad. I'd try my best to talk Dutch back to them, and they appreciated the fact that I was trying, but it was painful for them to listen to me because I was really not very good. And but I tried, and every once in a while a German would come along, and I could understand about half of German, but they could understand almost not my Dutch. but anyway, that was a good experience. Just those first few days learning to tract and learning to go on appointments and learning to go with street boards and that was all very, very interesting. I'm very, very glad I did that. When I very first arrived, by the by, I had jet lag like you would not believe. I thought it was the middle of the day or the morning, and I got up and I was shaving, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning or something in Holland.
Oh.
It was like, I don't know, 12 hours difference or something between Idaho or Utah and Holland time. It was some huge time difference. And finally I got so tired, I thought, man, I gotta go to bed. And an elder came and said, you gotta get in bed, you know. So finally I did. I went to bed. And then they assigned me to Arnhem, which is my very first area. And Arnhem was quite a ways away, and they took me again by this Volkswagen bus. And I met my new companion, Elder Anderson, who's a great guy, great trainer, great guy to have as your first companion, which just a terrific, you know, missionary, which I always try to give the brand new missionaries the best missionaries to get them started right. And he definitely was. He was an excellent missionary, and it was wonderful to be with him. But I went to church, and I sat down, you know, because we were busy all the other times. When I sat down in church, I started feeling sick to my stomach, and my head felt funny. I thought, elder, man, I feel sick. I gotta go home. Well, I finally went home, and I went to bed, and I slept, and I slept, and I slept, and I slept that Sunday. And it turns out that I just hadn't allowed my body to ever catch up. And so it's like a week later. And I got there on like Tuesday, and so this was Sunday by the time we'd gone to church in Arnhem. And boy, I was wiped out. It took me a long time, and probably into the next night before I finally got acclimated to the new time zone. But it was fun and interesting to do all that. And let's see, we got